Good evening. It is Friday, December 22nd, 2017. My name is Jacob.
And I'm Danielle.
And we are the Proteus Podcast. Ideas in all shapes and forms.
Why, hello, Jake.
Why, hello, Daniel. Why does it feel like months since we've done this?
It's only been like a week and a half.
No, but it feels much longer.
Well, we're back.
We're back.
Wait, who's back? Look, who's back? Do.
Look who's back.
Do.
Back again. Anywho.
Back to the movies.
Back to the movies.
We saw the Star Wars. And so, okay, getting this right out there in the open. Major spoilers.
Major spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen this movie and intend to, turn this off and come back after you've seen it.
Or don't, if you like that kind of thing.
Or if you're into spoilers, listen the heck out of it. You weirdo.
And biased opinions that may or may not have any merit in the grand scheme of things. Listen on.
I intend to have a great deal of merit, thank you.
Okay. Also, we're both in agreement that we need to see it a second time.
Is agreeance a real word?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
just
consider
checking.
this part 1 of the Proteus podcast, Star Wars: The
Extravaganza.
Last Jedi review.
Star Wars Christmas Extravaganza. Haha! That'll learn you.
All right. All right. So let's get into it.
Okay, let's.
I want to start with what has possibly been like leading up to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What was one of the most divisive things about this movie before the movie even launched?
What was divisive about it? I stopped paying attention to the promo stuff because spoilers in the promo tend to happen these days.
Tell me this. Are you Team Porg?
Who the hell is Porg?
Those are the little birds.
Oh, no, I am not Team Little Birds.
Were the Porgs not your thing?
Like, that was honestly the worst part of the whole movie.
What? No.
Yes.
For me, that was not the worst part of the entire movie.
Honestly, I thought they were poorly done, and they were both poorly and overdone.
There was that scene with the Porgs and Chewbacca where, like, he was trying to eat the Porg.
That's the scene that I hated the most.
Oh man, I love that scene, and that was also evidently the only scene that Peter Mayhew did.
Really?
In the suit. They
had somebody else wear the suit for him?
Yeah, he can't wear the suit and walk around. It causes him too much pain.
Huh.
So that scene.
You want to okay? Let's just get this over. Here's my problem with that scene.
Okay.
The porg that he was fixing to eat looked so incredibly fake.
Did it?
It did. It, like, the way the legs stuck out of it and stuff, it's like if you'd have run down to the grocery store and gotten a rotisserie chicken and just kind of rearranged it a little bit, it would have been better than whatever that clearly plastic fake cooked pork.
I don't know.
I one little thing really just bugged the heck out of me. I was like, really? You couldn't have done like 20% better on that? It'd have been fine.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny and cute. But that being said, I guess we can safely say that you are anti-Team Porg. And I'm pro-Team Porg.
I didn't feel like they added anything to the movie.
Yeah, they were a cutesy ad.
They were a cutesy ad to sell a bunch of Furbies. Because you know, those will be available in Furby form, more or less, in the coming decade. That is a merchandising character right there. That's all it exists for in my mind.
All right. So that's okay. So that's
all that being said,
pre-movie. That's pre-movie divisiveness.
Pre-movie divisiveness.
What'd you think about the film?
I thought it was a little long.
Yeah.
But I mean, 152 minutes, and I saw it at a when did I see it? At an AMC theater, which has like 45 minutes of trailers or something. So it turned into a 3-hour adventure to see this movie. I was just ready to be done by the time it was over. Like, I was enjoying the movie, but I was like, man, I've been here a long time. I want this to be the story to be, finish telling me this story. And so that 152-minute runtime, in addition to all the trailers and stuff, really kind of made the experience drag on in the middle. Felt like there was a couple things, not like in the early portion of the middle of the movie, that I was like, this, you could have something here. It just felt slow.
I only got one trailer, and it was for Infinity War.
Oh, that's a good trailer.
Which I'm super chuffed about.
Don't even start with me about that. We're not talking about it.
And I'm excited about that.
And yet you're chuffed.
Well, chuffed is a good thing.
Oh, it sounds like a bit. Anyways, we'll get into that another time.
British slang for being excited.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, it's a British thing. So, so I got right into the film. That being said, I also agree that was a little bit too long, and I can tell you exactly what I think which parts should have been removed. But before getting to that, I want to say that I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was a good Star Wars movie. I have some definitive problems with it.
Okay. Let's just go ahead and hit those definitive problems.
Well, tying in with the length of it, I don't think. Well, I know Rian Johnson, when he's the director. When he first came on, he wanted to use all new characters in this film. He didn't want to use Rey, Finn, Bro Dameron, anybody. He wanted to have a whole new set of characters. And Disney brought him in and was like, nope.
Absolutely not. We have set a direction and we're sticking with it.
Right. And then
that would have been insane.
Well, that's how we got the Rose character. Rose was one of the characters he wanted it to be focused on.
Huh.
And I think this led into these discussions with Disney is what led into him getting the 3-picture deal for a wholly separate Star Wars movie.
That makes sense.
But on the same note, I feel like he didn't want to work with a lot of these characters that he was forced to deal with.
Yeah,
I feel like the handling of Bro Dameron.
Poe. It's Poe.
I know, I keep on calling him Bro Dameron, but I have my reasons.
Okay.
Poe Dameron and Finn. For instance, everyone wanted more Poe and Finn, not necessarily for shipping, like they were going to be lovers, but just based off of their interaction.
Yeah, because
their interactions in the first film
it's a bromance.
Amazing. Yeah, it was an awesome bromance. Hence Bro Dameron. And he was like, no, I don't like either of these characters really. So I'm gonna make Poe Dameron shoot himself in the foot 5 times, and I'm gonna send Finn and Rose on the most pointless of adventures with zero payoff.
Yeah, that was...
And added... I don't know.
The way that particular side quest turned out, it's like he was just begging for an opportunity to kill those characters.
I think that he wanted to kill Finn. I bet you that there's a cut on the floor where Finn goes into the cannon.
Yeah, or something. Or I thought he might have was going to kill him earlier than that, even.
Yeah, the way that the Finn character was treated in this, I just feel like his character's done now. He doesn't have a place in the 3rd film.
Maybe.
I don't like how they handled it. It's and he also turned him into a deserter again.
Yeah, it was.
It's what happened
sucked.
to all the. Yeah, so that whole thing, honestly, they could have just cut that out and had Poe and Finn buying some extra time as just in the background kind of, and I would have been way more happy with that than
the not having any payoff on the side mission is what ruins that. During the side mission, you're like, hey, this is some pretty good stuff here. I kind of enjoyed the whole while the side mission was happening. I thought that was an interesting portion of it, and you expect it to work, and then when it doesn't, it's like, Okay, so that whole part of that movie could have been skipped.
Right, and it's the zero payout, and it felt like A, I have to do something with the Finn character. B, I want to get Benicio del Toro on screen to attract more people. I mean, Dax the Slicer is a very interesting character from the extended universe,
Right.
but like I don't know. It's just that whole bit I was underwhelmed. And to add into it, what was the name of the lady who took over while Leia was unconscious?
Hang on.
Commander Hungdu. The actress is the lady from Jurassic Park.
Holdo. It's like
Holdo.
Admiral Holdo.
Admiral
something.
Holdo. Well, A, she's a very attractive lady.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much down with her. But that's the other thing too. It's like you have this impulsive guy. Like, tell him what the plan is.
Yeah,
Like the whole thing.
like the whole thing.
Like
She just sort of.
OPSEC.
Yeah, it was like her just obstinate refusal to tell anyone anything about what the plan is. It's just making the plan look like we're just going to fly in a straight line until we all die. That'll be super great. Everyone's going to love that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like
It
her plan. Like telling the people within her command structure what the plan is doesn't, as far as you can tell, there's no leaks or anything. It's not going to give away the plan to the Empire or whatever. Yeah, her character was simultaneously, like you said, attractive and infuriating. You're like, this is not good management. Keeping everyone in the dark and like, do we even have a plan? It's like, that is not an answer when you're the vice admiral of the entire fleet.
Yeah. It made that whole thing pointless. It made it not worthwhile. And not only that, because she didn't show better commanding skills, is why the First Order figured out what they were doing.
It's like they spent a bunch of effort trying to make her incredibly unlikable at the same time, too, right?
Right.
Where she's supposed to be this hero of the rebellion, and then you're just like, no, you just hate her. And she's supposed to be one of the good guys. This is the worst character ever.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they should have done more fleshing out of her and like just made her a better character.
Yeah, just give her, like a lot of the motivations of why people were doing things was really confusing to me. It's like, why do you withhold vital information from your team so that this, and this?
So that being said,
because she didn't even insinuate there was a plan. Like that's all that you would have needed to do. Is like, yes, there's a plan. I'm sorry you can't be part of this plan right now, but don't do anything insane while this plan is put into motion. But instead, she's just like, "Is there a plan?"
Yeah. It's
yeah.
And also, it kind of goes away from everything we've learned about the rebellion. Because the rebellion, like, we're going to go blow up the Death Star. There's 50 people in the room.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to go destroy this planet, this planet killer base.
Yeah, and like everybody's there, and here's what we're doing.
People in the room. It's like, all right, so we know that everyone's here. Half the fleet has been destroyed. We're not going to tell people how we're going to escape.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So, now we get let's talk now about Kylo and Rey.
Okay. Let's do that.
What did you think about their Force FaceTime?
Force FaceTime?
Yeah.
That's a good name for it. That was all right. Like this whole thing is kind of, from the beginning has smacked of, The Force Awakens, and then this one is for reasons that aren't entirely clear to us. Force users have become way more powerful than previously shown in the Star Wars universe.
No joke.
Like, it's been alluded to that there's been people this powerful, like in the extended universe and stuff, and like, which weirdly enough, supposedly canon the Force Unleashed video game, right?
Yeah.
Those,
Battlefront 2 is
these
also canon now.
insanely powerful Force users but like you never actually saw them or in any of the in things like that. Like it's never been in the movies, and the things they can, they're basically legends in a lot of the other stuff. So people doing these things with this level of ability is interesting, and I'm curious what the explanation is going to be eventually, if there is one.
Yeah.
But
And
like
then
it didn't feel out of place having seen the other things that these new powerful force users can do to me.
Right. And then you also had Snoke come in saying that he's the one who caused it, calls their bridges to
Yeah.
their minds to bridge. He and then so we have to talk about Snoke in relation to Kylo and Rey because he was manipulating them both, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So he's manipulating them both, and he implanted it. Okay, so Kylo saying that he saw a vision of Rey's parents being nobodies.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, there you go. Her parents are nobodies. They're no one in the Star Wars universe. And I was like, wait a second. Just 10 seconds ago, Snoke said he calls the bridging of their minds to happen. 3 seconds ago, he just said that he implanted the visions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh. And then the death of Snoke.
Yeah, I thought that was well done. I liked the death.
I like the death. I don't like the lack of who is this guy.
Yeah, I'm desperate for an explanation. It's like, okay, somehow, because he would had to have been a very powerful force user way back when Darth Vader was active. Like, how is it that he's not? Like, who is he? It should have come up at some point back then that here's another very powerful Sith.
Right.
In which theoretically there should only be 2 Sith at any given time.
They've kind of not retconned that, but kind of started ignoring that. Because they realized it was the stupidest thing out of the prequels.
Yeah.
But
like, I guess you could retcon that out by saying, maybe the Jedi thought that was the case because it appeared to be that way,
because they're super secret.
Yeah, well, and the Sith could, basically try to maintain that myth. Lots of groups of people have tried to maintain certain myths about themselves to, increases their power in some way or another. So there's that. But yeah, like explanations of who he is would be fantastic.
Yeah, and like we know that he has some kind of tie to Vader because of the ring.
Which ring?
He wears a ring with a piece of obsidian in it. And that ties it back to some new canon books around there being a number of rings that were taken from below Vader's chamber. Like they were like Sith priests. But nothing specific to Snoke.
Yeah,
so
I really need there to be an explanation for that in the next movie.
Well, I would like it too. And there's still the rumor that he still may be Darth Plagueis.
Plagueis the Wise.
So he may not be dead.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We will see. But that brings me... I don't feel like Kylo or Ben Solo had any type of real development in this movie.
He got madder.
He got more angry, but he still responds to everything like a petulant child.
Well, that's all he is.
I mean, it's like this guy's no Vader.
No, he's not.
It's like Vader mastered his rage.
It's like he desperately wants to be Vader, but he's just not there,
Yeah.
I was sort of upset that he destroyed his mask. I was like, it harkens back to something someone talked about with, superhero characters are always taking their masks off, which just so the actor can, you can see the actor's face and, oh, yep, that's the actor for that. And I think it's a more bold move in terms of filmmaking to leave the mask on the way they did with Darth Vader all the way through. He was menacing and intimidating with nothing more than his posture and his voice,
Right.
And to destroy the mask really takes away the opportunity to play at that level, which is a whole nother high level of filmmaking.
Right. we get this guy who looks kind of like Keanu Reeves, who keeps on having temper tantrums.
Yeah, like the mask is part of the character, and they threw that away.
And I think that was another Ryan Johnson thing of going, I'm going to try and redo Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of trend in here of him going, I want to redo Star Wars the way I want to do Star Wars. And what's unfortunate is I think that J.J. Abrams, even though I hate what he did with Star Trek, did really good with that with the first film.
Yeah, like I think J.J. Abrams knew he needed to play to his audience with this, right? Mm-hmm. And hit the marks, and he did it. And this guy, on the other, Ryan Johnson, said, "Screw that! I'm doing what I want," which was incredibly risky, because with the thing like this, if you blow a box, this, and it doesn't pan out, which apparently it's doing well, but like
it made more money than Justice League had made in the amount of time it's been out in theaters over its first weekend.
Yeah, and like, so it's done well, but it's also, he's doing things here that Star Wars fans aren't necessarily thrilled with. So
yeah, and it's like we all want to see like a Star Wars film that's not based around the Skywalker mythos. We all want to see that. And I think that he will do awesome with his trilogy that's set apart with slightly different rules, right?
Sure.
But for this...
this is the Skywalker mythos, and you've got to play you've got to hit the marks on it.
Right. And that's going back to Rey now. That's why I think that when J.J. Abrams takes over the helm again for the third film, mm-hmm. I think we're going to see that she's actually somehow related to the family. Like,
yeah, or something. Because I don't, you can't necessarily believe anything Kylo said. He could have been lying, just trying to break her. So,
one thing about Rey,
mm-hmm.
What was with the island and the dark part of the island, the mirror scene?
I don't know. That was confusing to me. I don't know if it was confusing. It just...
There was no payoff. This is another no payoff thing. It was...
I think the payoff was really mild there. It was because she basically went into it and expecting, either to learn something or be terrified, and then she wasn't.
I guess I was expecting some kind of revelation, like personal revelation, like Luke on Dagobah.
I think that's what it... Okay, so here's my take on that. Because Luke treated that spot like it's the same thing as on Dagobah. It's some kind of... It's a dark side...
Yeah.
Holocron thing, right? And so, Luke sort of feared it because of that, right? And she went into it, and I think it kind of... the whole Grey Jedi thing comes to mind here, where she went into it and it didn't reveal anything to her because she is more balanced in the Force than, like, Luke would have been.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he didn't... Because she's lived with her fear for so long, it's part of her, and so she can balance that, I guess.
Some people, like, leading into that her parents are nobody, or saying that where there's two people and it merges into one, it's just saying that she's the only thing that's important and nothing else before her is important.
Yeah, it's not entirely clear what's going on there, but
yeah,
the takeaway I got from it was very much like the Grey Jedi thing, that even though it's a dark side stronghold type thing, that because she's balanced enough in the Force, light and dark, it doesn't affect her the way it would a light side user.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree.
Something along those lines is my takeaway from that scene.
The next thing, why we're talking about the Skywalker Holy Temple Island, the caretakers that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was weird.
I was like, and then they're just kind of offhanded. Oh, they're caretakers. I was like, where the hell were they?
Yeah, it's like we've been here for a week, and all of a sudden, caretakers.
Which kind of brings me into the whole Ryan Johnson added too many comic relief moments to this movie.
Yeah, that was one of them. Them throwing things getting knocked over of theirs all the time was kind of the shtick that he played with them. It's like it's not necessary.
I felt
I
like
would
I
have been
laughed too much in the film.
Fine with the whole thing. If Luke had been alone in self-imposed exile. Exile tends to mean alone.
Right. And his whole okay, let's talk about Luke and Leia. Moving forward, ever forward. Luke's reasoning behind being on the island makes no sense. I came here to die.
Yes.
That is bull honky. Because if he came there to die, why in the living heck did he leave a map to find him?
Yeah, I think one of those things is like, to me, that kind of felt like, okay, you're pressing me for an answer. Here's an answer, because I don't really have one.
Yeah.
Like, I came out here to try to figure some stuff out, and I don't really have an answer, so I came here to die. That'll set you back and make you leave me alone for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Speaking of things that happened on that island, though, the only other visual thing I had a problem with in this movie was the way they did Yoda's Force Ghost.
Well, it was a real puppet.
Yeah, that was I'm fine with it being a real puppet. Use a real puppet. But then mat it together the way they did in the old ones so he's actually transparent. Don't just put a blue glow around a real puppet. Like, you could tell he was solid and physically there. And the Force Ghosts up and before that were always transparent. You could see through them.
No, you're right. It was a little weird.
It was really just that's clearly Yoda right there with a blue glow. That's not how Force Ghosts have ever looked ever before.
And maybe he was just like, Yoda's that powerful that he can kind of...
Sure, maybe, probably.
I mean, he did hit Luke with his cane.
But at the same time, that stuck out so much. I was like, looks wrong. I've seen 7 of these movies, and that is not the way that's supposed to be.
It was better than Yoda fighting green screen against Dooku.
Oh, man. I watched some of those while I was away. I guess, yeah, it was episode 3, right?
Yeah.
Those look so bad.
They were bad.
They have aged terribly, though. They look like cheap video game cutscenes.
Well, that's what they are.
I know, but
essentially, I mean,
like the original 3 hold up in terms of special effects so much better than episodes 1 through 3. It is incredible how bad they look.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Practical effects. There's just
no substitute, and actual people in costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were no people in costumes as stormtroopers in that movie in episode 3. It was every one of them was CG.
Ugh.
And it shows. It shows bad now.
So, completely agree. I loved the point where Luke shows up on the salt planet.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Like,
and
man,
and that's what I was waiting for. It's like, okay, Luke has been focusing and doing his Jedi thing on this island forever, and I also don't think I think that the original intent was that he hadn't cut himself off from the Force.
Right.
I think that was a Ryan Johnson thing. This goes into like why does the hero take off his mask? Why do you keep on trying to kill our gods?
Right.
But like, how long have we been waiting to see exactly how badass Luke Skywalker has become?
Yeah, and they barely showed it to us, but you were like, "Oh man!" And he did such a great job Mark Hamill did in acting that scene because he got in shape and he struck the pose and you looked like Luke Skywalker. Like up until that point, he just looked like an old man in a bathrobe, kind of,
pretty much
shuffling around the island. And he did a few, like the thing with the pole vault trick, right? Was sort of, Jedi, but like the outline, the silhouette of him holding that lightsaber and standing up there, you're like, oh, that's him. That's the guy right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it finally tied it all together perfectly. You really saw Luke Skywalker in that right then and there, and that was a great scene.
Yeah. And then like the sword fight and the lightsaber fight where he doesn't even like strike at him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was good. uh I really enjoyed that. I did not enjoy them killing him
Well, but
and
it's
becoming one with the Force. I just don't think they should have done it. I
yeah, that sort of surprised me. I understood it, but it's also I was like, oh man, darn.
I think that he's definitely coming back in the next film.
Yeah, we're gonna find out just how far a Force Ghost can go in the next one, I think.
I think so as well. Um, and and that brings us to that moment with him and Leia inside,
Yeah.
where it's that throwback from like to the original trilogy where she's like, "I changed my hair."
Hmm.
It and it was just as I don't know. I read more into this scene because Carrie Fisher's dead, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that moment where you actually feel like Hamill is saying goodbye to Carrie Fisher. It's just they're both such great actors, and her acting improved because she was super rusty in The Force Awakens, and you could tell that she had her chops back in this one. It's
Yeah.
like her scenes, though short, were just all so great.
Hmm.
What did you think about her utilizing the Force to not die?
It surprised me a little bit, and I liked it.
I liked it too because, and I think that was a good extended universe throwback of she actually got some Force training after everything,
Yeah,
and
and
she's also a super strong Force user.
she legit is. She's in the Skywalker line. She's gonna be a powerful Force user. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
And yeah, go
I
ahead.
was sort of surprised that they didn't do any like editing and retconning to deal with the passing of Carrie Fisher, though.
There was like it.
I really kind of expected that scene where she was talking to Vice Admiral Holdo there
Uh
as
huh.
they're loading on shuttles. I expected the classic movie fake out where the one person, tricks the other person into getting on the shuttle and, they sacrifice themselves instead.
Right.
I expected it there and was surprised that they didn't do that somehow.
Yeah. Same here. And I don't know. She's not going to have any film time in the next film, so they're going to remove her off screen,
Yeah.
and I don't know how they're going to do that. But I do have to say that I I really appreciated her role in the film. I liked her showing that she was super strong in the Force and could sustain herself in space, much like
Yeah.
Vader could.
I think the way that they'll probably handle that, if I had to guess though, is they will basically insinuate that she was holding herself together with the Force the whole time through the last half of the movie, and that being in space that long had, basically was too much. And so after they, successfully escape and whatnot, she succumbed to the effects of being sucked into space.
I don't know.
That's probably, the
Those,
most likely way of handling that, and being able to do it cleanly and off screen. Just allude to that or something.
I will say that was a very unceremonious ending of Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed by that. Good old Admiral.
I kind of wanted him to like
Scream, it's a trap one last time.
it should have been Admiral Akbar like in the seat doing the light speed jump at the end.
Yeah, that would have
Like
been
that's what I would
poetic
have
justice
done.
right there.
And then you have that moment where he's like he could even have a like I would have liked this joke where he's like, this is a trap.
This is a trap. Oh, headcanon. That's it. I officially believe that's what happened. Vice Admiral
That scene
Holdo
though,
was never there.
they shouldn't have killed her, and they should have treated her character differently. And
Yeah.
it should have been Akbar, and
Yep, that's how
had
that happened.
beautiful scene.
You can't convince me
where-
otherwise.
There you go.
Where
I'm glad I've
Akbar
given
said,
you
"This
that.
is a trap," and then does the coolest thing.
Isn't that a beautiful scene though, where it's just like
Oh
tears
yeah,
through all those ships?
that was gorgeous. Just a fantastic piece of filmmaking there.
And honestly, that would have been a good way to have written out Leia. You're right.
I really expected
I
it,
don't.
knowing that anyone that didn't know somehow lived under a rock and didn't know that Carrie Fisher had passed away might have expected it there, but but on the other hand, I kind of appreciate they avoided it because it is sort of a classic film trope to the hero switches places with the person that they have to save in that situation. So I'm on of two sides of the coin there. I appreciate they avoided the trope, but I'm surprised they didn't use it there
But
to
this
deal
is a
with the
trap
problem
in
that they had.
canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the things that happened with her and Luke on the planet wouldn't have happened. So it's a trade off.
Yeah,
which
you're
one
right.
do you want? So.
Admiral Akbar, this is a trap. That's how it should have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
That's how it should have happened. How it should have ended. Get it done for me.
I need to email them now saying, "Here's a freebie."
Here's a freebie.
Yeah. So I think that will wrap up our discussion. Part one.
I think so for part one. One last thing I think I noticed, and I'm not sure, is as far as I can remember, they didn't use any of the classic wipes and covers in changing scenes. You know how Star Wars has always done that. It's used.
Oh, you're right. They didn't.
I don't remember seeing any of those, and that really surprised me. It's like like part of Star Wars is using those transitions that no one uses anymore.
He also didn't want to do. I have a bad feeling about this, so he had BB-8 do it in beeps.
I'll give him that one, I guess.
This is once again my problem with the film is that Rian Johnson tried to make it not a part of the Skywalker canon. It's and you can tell that.
Yeah, it definitely stands out on its own in a weird way because of all this. Let's too early to say if it's going to be in a good way when once you place the third movie after it and see how it all plays together.
Yeah, I want to see Abrams, and I need honestly, and as a fan, I need it to tie back into the Skywalker mythos in the last film.
Yeah, because I mean that's the whole point. It was a trilogy of trilogies of the Skywalker mythos, and it needs to wrap the story all up.
Yep.
Pretty pleased with a bow on top, all finished. We've got the Skywalker saga encapsulated in 9 movies.
There you go. That was the goal. That was the plan. That was the dream. That's what needs to happen.
So quit screwing around and get it done.
Personal fan theory.
Yeah.
Rey is the daughter of Luke and Mara Jade. Luke never knew he had a daughter.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
And Mara Jade dumped her on that planet, Jakku. All right. How jaded are you?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know, like a 4.
I'm at a 3. I'm beginning a week and a half vacation.
A week and a half vacation? Who gets a week and a half vacation?
I have a lot of PTO.
That's a bit much.
Meh. I still have, after this and the week I'm taking off in January, I'll still have 54 hours of PTO stored up.
Congratulations.
I know.
So, do you have a quote?
All right. I do. Are you ready for it?
Sure.
This one is attributed to both Han and Luke.
Okay.
See you around, kiddo. See you around, kiddo.
See you around, kid. That's good.
Yep. That's how I know that Luke will be back.
Yeah. So I kind of like the quote from the Slicer, which was, "It's all a machine, partner. Live free, don't join."
I guess that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I was hard pressed to pick a good quote out of this movie. Actually, there's some good parts, but I didn't really. I was like, go, oh wow, that's a good line or anything. Although I did have to laugh when Leia said, "Wipe that nervous expression off your face, 3PO."
I did.
I was like,
I laughed at that too.
that's actually a good joke. Because it's a beautiful callback to everything 3PO has ever done.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways.
All right. All that being said, if you've enjoyed hearing us go on and on about nerdy, weird things.
About all the ways we didn't like this movie that we loved.
Yeah. You can subscribe and follow us on Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes,
Google Play,
YouTube, Google Play, wherever fine podcasts are pervaded.
And if you'd like to email us, you can send an email to proteuspodcast@gmail.com, and we will most definitely respond in some fashion.
You can also follow us on Twitter @Proteus Podcast.
Be updated when new podcasts are posted. So, all that being said, I've been Jacob.
And I'm still Danielle.
And we have been the Proteus Podcast. Good night, everyone.